Okay, so we're back going over the second half of season 2, where I've made mention that there's some more maybe questionable, like the quality of some of the episodes is a little more questionable. So we're going to start with episode 14, The Last Roundup, and I'm going to be honest, while there is a controversy with this episode, so I guess it is kind of questionable, I think the quality of this episode is not in question. I like it a lot. So, the basic plot, so I'll talk about the basic plot of the episode, all that kind of shit, then I'll talk about the controversy. So, basic plot, Applejack is going to the big rodeo, which I think they said was in Canterlot. I could be wrong about that. She goes to a big rodeo, and before she heads off, everyone's singing her praises. Like, man, Applejack, you're so badass. You're so good at this one and this one. All you do is win blue ribbons, which is first place. You're going to win first place in all kinds of shit. You're probably going to get prize money. You can maybe use it to do some shit in Sweet Apple Acres. And the mayor's like, Applejack, you could use the money to fix up Town Hall. And she's like, you know what? That is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go win some prize money. I'm going to win. And we're going to use it to fix up the town. I'll see y'all later. Ho-ho! And, Applejack doesn't come back. They get a letter from her saying, yeah, I don't really want to come back home. Don't worry. I'll send some money. I'll see y'all later. So, the remaining 5 are like, okay, that's not fucking alright. Knowing Applejack and how much she loves her home and how much she loves her family, she would not stay behind for no reason. Let's go find her. So they go to find her, and they trace her down to Dodge Junction, where they find Applejack, who is being incredibly evasive. So it's very clear something happened, something she doesn't want to talk about. They're like, look, we're not leaving here until you tell us what's up. So it's Applejack's stubbornness, which, as we've seen from at least Applebug season, is her defining flaw against the stubbornness of the remaining 5. So at first, there is this I Love Lucy gag, which instead of chocolate sorting and whatnot, it's with cherries. After that, they are bucking cherry trees, to which they weaponize Pinky's ability to ignore people, not for the last time. Shout out the season 8 finale with Tyrek. They're like, Tyrek, we are not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with us. And it's pretty fucking great. But Pinky annoys Applejack into submission, and Applejack's like, okay, guys, I'll tell you what. I will tell y'all everything tomorrow at breakfast. Like, when we meet at breakfast, I will tell you guys everything. Deal. She specifically makes a Pinky promise. It's like I was saying in the last episode here with Sweet and Elite. This is one of those episodes where Rainbow Dash, being the piece of shit in the group, she's aware of someone else being a piece of shit. Because the next morning, everyone's going to breakfast, like, alright, we're going to see Applejack. She's going to tell us everything. And Dash is like, I don't know. So, something feels screwy. I know she's the element of honesty. I don't trust her. And it turns out Applejack has skipped breakfast, which makes Pinky really fucking angry. It's like, you broke your promise to me. There is a YouTube channel called JJNW'S. And one of my favorite videos by JJNW'S is the Christopher Robin trailer, re-edited and dubbed over to be a horror movie. This was years before Blood and Honey was ever a thing. And there's just this one line of Boo talking to Christopher Robin in the trailer where he says, a promise is a promise. And it's something Clay and I have quoted to each other for years. And that's basically what happens with Pinky in this episode. When AJ breaks the a promise is a promise. So, Applejack is trying to escape them, and the remaining 5 are trying to catch up with, I believe it is Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy pulling the wagon. Which leads to possibly the funniest moment in the episode for me. Where, and it probably is just the funniest moment in the episode. Pinkie Pie hops off their little wagon into Applejack's carriage. It's like, Applejack, you broke your promise to me! To which Applejack says, I didn't. I told you I would tell you everything at breakfast. But because I didn't show up to breakfast, I don't have to tell you anything. As if she's like, I might be the element of honesty. I might have made a promise intending to abuse a loophole. But because of a loophole, I didn't lie. I never broke the promise. Because I never promised to show up for breakfast. I just promised that if I did, this is what I would do. To which Pinkie is very much like, damn it. I'm not happy because you intended to deceive me, but you technically didn't break the promise, so I'm not mad. What makes this hilarious is right after she just yells, Rarity, catch me! Jumps off the wagon, or she jumps off the carriage into the wagon. Rarity doesn't know what the fuck is happening, so she knocks into Rarity and they both fall off the wagon. The chase continues with Twilight, yelling at Rainbow Dash, dude, we gotta go back for him. And Dash just looking back at Twilight and saying, they knew what they were getting into, and keeps going. Then, when you get to the end of the episode, we'll talk about what happens with the resolution. You can probably figure out what the resolution is when you're watching the episode. But at the very end of the episode, they never went back to get Pinkie and Rarity. So they're on one of those tiny little, 2-person carts with Pinkie annoying the hell out of Rarity. And Rarity just saying, when I get back, I'm going to fucking kill Rainbow Dash for leaving me behind. And it's so funny. But at the end of the episode, the resolution is that Applejack didn't win a single blue ribbon. She competed well in the rodeo. She won more ribbons than anyone else, but no first places. Which, A, makes her feel like she is... It just makes her feel like she let everybody down, but also she won no prize money. She's like, look, everyone was counting on me to win. Everyone was counting on me to get that money. And if I couldn't get the money, I didn't want to come home without it because that makes me ashamed. So, I got a job. Working at this cherry farm so I could make some money to send back home. Well, the rest of I can't even say the remaining 5 because Pinkie Pie and Rarity aren't here because they got knocked off the fucking wagon. But our 2 Pegasi and Sparks are like, dude, Applejack, stop being dumb. We love you. You're one of our best friends. We don't care if you're in first place. We don't care... There's an episode of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius where it's a talent show and Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen form a band that they refer to as the Llama Lords of Science. And I think Jimmy did some shit to make them way too good at music or whatever the fuck. And it was turning them evil or making people hypnotized. I don't exactly remember. It's been a very long time. But when it's actually time to perform in the talent show, they don't do that because they're we don't want to do music anymore. Instead, Carl makes a giant puke green snot bubble which they use to fly into the air until it pops. What I remember is Carl saying afterwards, come on guys, 8th place isn't so bad, and Sheen retorting, there were only 7 acts, Carl. And I fucking love that. It's one of those things that lives in my head rent-free, and every now and then just kind of comes back up to, I don't know, hang out. And so it just made me think of that. It's Applejack, we don't care if you're first. We don't care if you come in 8th place when there's only 7 people. We love you. You don't have to be a winner. You don't have to make money. Just come back home. So they take the train and go back home, but apparently, despite the fact that we're all friends and shit, forgot the other 2 members of the group. Which is one of those things I'm like, that's a really mean-spirited ending. But it's... And I know I've talked about that, like, even in the last one, like, mean-spiritedness. I usually don't like it as much in Friendship is Magic, but there, it's so funny, I kinda don't care. Let me talk about the controversy. So, as I have mentioned before in Season 1, and here in Season 2 a few times, there is a background character who is referred to as either Derpy Hooves, or Hooves, or as Ditsy Doo. Derpy is, for all intents and purposes, the mascot of the Brony fandom. This was a character who was in the background for, like, I don't know, 12 seconds with an animated, with wall eyes from an animation error, and people saw that and said, she's great, and just art everywhere. Everyone thought she was great, and then starting with Feeling Pinky Keen onwards, she was intentionally put into the show with the fucked up eyes. And people went nuts. In this episode, in the last roundup, she was given... her name was canon. Because, like, while they're doing shit at Town Hall, Rainbow Dash is almost hit by lightning. She goes, now careful, Derpy. And it's, like, particularly emphasized that she's saying her name. And she's like, you know, you don't want to do more damage than you've already done. I just don't know what went wrong. And it was like, oh, wow, okay. Her name is canon. They're actually giving her a voice. Like, this little bit goes on. And it's not, like, super long. It's, I don't know, maybe, like, 3-4 minutes or so. But they are giving specific attention to this character. And it's just a love letter to the fans. And it's fantastic. However, given the fact that the character is written to be, as the name Ditsy Doo might imply, not all there, to put it politely, to say it as just kind of on the nose as possible. The controversy is people thought that not only was the character retarded, but that the show was making fun of a character for being retarded. The fact that she is called Derpy is very klutzy, and it was also the voice used made people think that she was actually, like, that there was something wrong with her. My understanding is her original voice actress, because I know, like, the lines were re-recorded. I believe even Rainbow Dash's lines, like, you can even hear it. They sound a little bit different. I know I have a DVD somewhere, because there were some episodes that were released in DVDs outside of just, like, here's all of Season 1, Season 2, etc., etc., etc. There's one with the last roundup, and I believe it's the original version of the episode where she's called Derpy and with the different recording. I could be wrong about that. I don't know where the fuck that is. It's probably in North Carolina. If I could find it, I would want to double check that. Anyways, point. My understanding is that the original voice actress, like, deadass thought Derpy was a dude and tried to give her a more masculine or, like, young boy sounding voice. And because of the controversy, like I said, they had to edit it where instead of now careful Derpy, it's just now careful. And, like, doesn't say the name. The voice is redone, I guess, to not sound offensive, and that's what the episode is remembered for. It's not remembered for Applejack's story of, I wanted to do something nice for the town, and I failed, and I didn't want to return back in shame. It's not remembered for Pinkie Pie annoying the hell out of her by talking about chimichangas or her new favorite word, which is kumquat and pickle barrel, and saying pickle barrel kumquat. It's not remembered for Rarity Catch Me and Rainbow Dash saying they knew what they were getting into, or the fucking ending of Pinky and Rarity on that little cart. It is just remembered for the Derpy shenanigan. Or I guess the Derpy, it's Derpygate, I guess. And I feel like I can't talk about the episode, like, I have to bring it up because of how notable that is. It doesn't... I'd be lying if I said it didn't it didn't impair, like, my enjoyment of the episode, but I'll put it like this. The original airing of the episode is an S-tier episode. Fuck! I was trying to put it in different places. Is an S-tier episode. I think Applejack's story is pretty good. I think this episode is really funny. And acknowledging, again, not just like a background character, like a fan joke, like essentially the mascot of your fan base, and like just giving them some time in the limelight, I think is just really, really fucking cool. Now, there are some controversies, and when I rewatch it, it's always the edited version, so it just reminds me that there was a controversy, and there's just kind of these little bits in, like, it's particularly Rainbow Dash's dialogue, because I don't mind, like, the different voice for Derpy. I think it's fine. Even if, like, they had never name-dropped her, and she just kind of had a scene, it'd be fine. Like, I could hear it in Rainbow Dash's voice. I'm like, yeah, like, the sound's just slightly off. And it bothers me because I know why it's off. I kind of go, like, it kind of goes down to an A tier. But honestly, I saw it when it first aired, and I just think that's neat as fuck. It's kind of... Let me put it like this, because I remember saying when I was talking about Winter Wrap-Up in Season 1, to me, Winter Wrap-Up is an S-tier episode because of the song. The episode is fine. Like, I genuinely like the episode. The song and that whole sequence just elevates it. Even with the controversy, like, does it affect my enjoyment? It does, but I don't think it does so much to knock it down here, when what they did was just so fucking neat in the first place. And the episode is funny as hell. I think if the episode wasn't nearly as funny as it was, it definitely would have come down here. Maybe the Derpy thing would have made it, like, more of a B tier, and I was honestly expecting going back into watching it, I was like, I kind of remember that episode. Like, I don't know. It's probably going to be kind of okay, and the Derpy thing is cool, but it's kind of weird. I was like, oh, fuck, it's so funny. I love this episode, and I would be lying if I said otherwise. So, episodes 7 and 8 were Rainbow Dash going back to back, and episodes 14 and 15 are Applejack and the Apple Family going back to back. This is, what is it? Super Cider Squeezy 6000. Or as I just call it, the Flim and Flam episode, which is a little misleading because it implies that it's their only episode, but it's not. There's, I don't remember the names of any of their other episodes. But I know there's one in season 4 with the tonic where Applejack gets her element of honesty again because plot shit happened in the premiere and the elements are gone and they kind of have to re-earn them, I suppose. But there's that one. There's one in one of the map seasons. I don't remember which one it is. I mean, technically they do have a cameo at the end of season 5, like in one of the bad futures, but it's not really a Flim Flam episode, you know? There's one where Fluttershy, and I don't remember who Fluttershy is partnered with. It's Flim and Flam, so I'm like, was it Applejack? But I don't know if it was Applejack. They have to solve a friendship problem, and the friendship problem is Flim and Flam are now pissed off at each other, and they're like, I almost want to say it's like Fluttershy and Granny Smith have to go do this. I don't know. But the friendship problem is like, okay, I know these two are assholes, but they are brothers, and they do get along well. You gotta fix their friendship problem, because there was this other asshole who was playing them against each other, so they had to do, you know, a good old, I don't remember what they called it. Essentially, they like to, like, out-con a con man, and then in one of the school seasons, so I believe it's season 8, Flim and Flam are running their own school, to which Twilight and Rarity, when I specifically remember, Rarity went undercover as Plainity, and it completely fooled Flim and Flam. I was like, this is so stupid. It's kind of awesome. If I remember correctly, I think Star Swirl the Bearded ended up working at Flim and Flam's school because he's a fucking piece of shit asshole. Anyways, this is not my point. This is not their only episode. I know there's also like a comic or two with them, but it is their premiere. It is oh, you've got opportunity in this very community. It's that episode, which I fucking love these two. I'm going to be honest. They are what saves this episode from being like pure. No, I can't say that, because Rainbow Dash in this episode being the fucking Tricks Rabbit who just wants her cider, and the universe is just conspiring to never give her cider. Again, it's mean-spirited, but it is funny. And I think that's just because it's not a character being mean or unpleasant. It's just, this is just some cosmic bullshit. And I feel so sorry for her, but it's kind of amazing. And Flim and Flam are so genuinely fun, and their song is a ton of fun. This episode is great. But here's why it's not. Here's why this is one of the ones I was talking about. Like, this episode sucks because of the lack of accountability by our protagonist and our protagonist-centered morality. So let's actually talk about what fucking happens in it. It's cider season. It is the time of year when the apples are bucking apples and harvesting apples to make apple cider, and they talk about how this is, one of the most important times of the year for Sweet Apple Acres. They make a ton of money during this time of year, and because it's about to be winter, they aren't going to be able to really do shit with their apples. This is how they make money during the winter. And without cider season, without these sales, they would go out of business. So, they have a very limited amount of supply. Partly because there's only 4 of them working there. One of them is a child, and one of them is a very old lady. So there's kind of only so much they can do per day. The other part of it is we are very traditional and very selective in how we, pick our apples, like specifically not just pick the apples, but make sure that it is a good apple for cider, and like hand making the cider and blah, 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 blah. It is a slow process. It is an arduous process. The supply is way below the demand. Like, there are fucking Black Friday lines that go all the way across the screen. They do not have a policy of one per customer, because like they'll be like, all right, this is all for today, we'll see you all tomorrow. They do not have a one per customer per day. It's a, hey, as long as you're in line, you can buy as much as we want. Or excuse me, you can buy as much as you want. We don't give a shit how that fucks up the rest of our consumer base. Which, is pretty fucked up and pretty shitty. It's like, hey, first come, first serve, but I mean, if the first person buys like fucking 30 glasses, that's 29 less for other people, and when you have a very limited supply in the first place and a monopoly over that supply, yeah, I mean, you can do that, but at the same time, fuck you for doing that. Like, I don't know. I don't feel bad saying that. That sounds just like a shitty business practice. So Flim and Flam show up with their super with their super cider Squeezy 6000, Which, fun fact, I think I heard originally the name for this episode was going to be the Cider Horse Rules, and I'm like, that's fucking great. I actually really like that. Sorry. So they show up and they're like, okay, we have a machine that will speed up the process significantly. And the apples, particularly Granny, said, it's like, hey, you can't make cider that's as good as us. You know, we are very particular about the kind of apples that go in our cider. We make it with love and care, none of this newfangled bullshit technology. To which Flim and Flam show that, like, we feel the same way. We don't make an inferior product. Which, real quick, is really interesting. Because a big part of their characters in every subsequent episode is that they're con men. And I don't mind that. I love a good con man character. That shit can be fun. They are not con men in this episode. They have a genuine product that they are peddling. Now, they're very shrewd businessmen, like, they're kind of assholes about it. I will not deny that. But just because you're a dick does not mean you are trying to rip people off. Though, again, they do some shady shit at the end of the episode, but it's not like the apples have been doing good business the entire fucking episode either. So, again, Granny Smith's like, hey, your shit can't compete. It's not as good. And then she takes a sip of it, and she has this look on her face like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. This is really good. He's Flim and Flam say, like, yeah, we don't use bad apples either. The machine can sift, it can pick the apples really quickly, sift out the good ones and the bad ones, and then on top of that, it can make the cider a lot quicker. So they say, why don't we go into business together? Let's figure out a way to split the profits. 75-25, y'all get the 25, which, okay, shitty. It's like, this is their land, this is their territory, it is their apples that are being used. They're trying to rip them off. Like, don't get me wrong, I do not want to make it seem like, hey, Flim and Flam are fucking angels in this episode, because no. Legitimate business or no, it's still Flim and Flam. They're still assholes, that's why they're great. But they are not victims in this episode. But I kind of don't see the apples as such either. Apple Bloom is like, dude, newfangled technology? I'm all for it. I want to go into business. But Granny Smith's like, no, fuck that. Fuck you. We need these profits. This is our territory. And Flim and Flam like, yeah, but I mean, monopolies are kind of shitty. So, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's a bunch of shit talking. What ends up happening is they do like a John Henry challenge where it's like, okay, let's do a bet to see who can make more cider in, I want to say, an hour. Time difference might be a little different. Let's say an hour. Who can produce more cider? Us, handmade through our process, or you with your technology? And Flim Flam like, fucking deal. And I believe the winner is exclusive rights to like release cider in Ponyville. It is not like the deed to Sweet Apple Acres or anything, but because of what's discussed earlier in the episode of how much the Apple family needs the cider sales during this part of the year, otherwise they'd probably lose the farm. For all intents and purposes, then it's like, alright, we're going for Sweet Apple Acres. And Applejack does not want to do this. Applejack the entire time just sweating like, this is so fucking dumb. This is bad. We are going to lose. And I think that's also something to keep in mind. It's not like Applejack's like, guys, we got this. Because, this is how we've been doing it for years. This is our process. This is our tradition. We got this. She's like, oh no, we're fucked. They make good cider, and they make it fast. Way faster than us. I think we're gonna lose. I don't know. So, the next day, it's time. The shit starts happening. And the apples are given their best, and it's clear that they're losing. I think Twilight does the calculations, and Flim and Flam are beating them. Excuse me. Flim and Flam are outpacing the apples 3-1. Making good cider. Again, like, yeah, like, we are... The quality control in the machine is on, and we are outpacing you 3-1. To which... Twilight goes up to the mayor, who is the one overseeing the competition, is like, hey, we are not part of the family, technically, but we're part of the family. We're honorary family members. Are we allowed to help? And the mayor goes, I don't know. Flim and Flam, is that okay? And they're like, we don't give a shit. That's fine. So then, the Remain 5 help the apples. And now, instead of it being 3-1 in favor of Flim and Flam, I believe it's 5-3 in favor of the apples. So Flim and Flam are like, oh shit, we are starting, like, they're catching up, if not outright beating us now. We gotta do something, we gotta pick up the pace. So then they turn off the quality control to get more product out. And when it's all said and done, Flim and Flam win. After that, they open up like a couple barrels of cider, and they pick specifically from the bad ones to start, and everyone's like, no, this cider's fucking terrible. Mine has rocks in it. And, after that, like, we wouldn't pay anything for this cider. The cider's dog shit, and Flim and Flam are like, oh, well, in that case, bye. It's like, well, there went this job opportunity, and then they leave. With the episode ending with Applejack writing a letter to the princess going, Dear Princess Celestia, I didn't learn anything. I was right all along. All you need to, hey, like, if this is how you do stuff, fucking do it. Don't let no newfangled technology fuck with your shit. Hard work and, you know, honest horsepower, blah, blah, fuck you, Applejack. It's funny that I didn't learn anything as she's prancing along, bouncing a, like, mug of cider on her head. It's funny as hell, and I love it. But fuck, it pisses me off. What do you mean you were right the entire time? You were getting your ass kicked. 3-1. You only started beating them when you let your friends help. Do you know what that means, Applejack? That means the way your family does business is bad and doesn't fucking work because you don't produce enough. The entire episode, you are being told you don't produce enough product for us. Fix it. And then are given a way to fix it. And rather than actually try to engage in negotiations to get a fair price, and maybe Flim and Flam would have never given them one. It is Flim and Flam after all. They essentially tell them, your first offer sucks, go fuck yourselves. And Flim and Flam go, oh really? Okay, if you want to play that game, let's play that game. And start beating them 3-1. Then, once Applejack's friends start helping, now we have more cider. You know what that tells me? Hey, it shows that yes, hard work and like raw manpower can beat a machine if you have enough manpower. Hire more employees, Applejack. Have your friends help you. And maybe you're paying them? Maybe you're only paying them in cider. Rainbow Dash has just been wanting cider all fucking episode, which has been, I don't know, like 3-4 days. If I'm deadass, if Applejack just said, Rainbow, here's the thing. I will give you a cup of cider every hour to help me make more cider. Rainbow Dash would have signed up for that shit last year. What do you mean you didn't learn everything? Or you didn't learn anything? You were proven wrong. If Flim and Flam at the end of the episode, because again, they turn off the quality control. Like, they win, but now their product is shitty. And that's fair. the people of Ponyville saying this is an inferior product and we don't want it is completely fair. For, I don't know, 90% or so of that competition, it was good product. So if they had taken, like, any of those other barrels, they win. They dead-ass straight-up win because they were right. The only, like, it bothers me so much. The protagonist-centered morality of, I was in the right the entire time, even though I was proven wrong, because the shit that I do is not efficient and is not sustainable. Here is a better way of doing things, and if I don't like it, I have to adapt. And you see, during the competition, they adapt. And Applejack, stubborn as she is able to say, no, I learned an Applebuck season. Please help me. Here you go. You can adapt. You can write a lesson about that, about how that's an important part of business, is you have to understand your consumers. You have to understand supply and demand. And if you can't meet the supply, you need to fix the shit you're doing so you can, but you don't have to sell your soul in the process. Instead, it's, I didn't learn shit. I was completely right. And after my friend showed up and helped us win the competition, we went right back to the shitty fucking way we were doing business in the first place. Boy, it makes me mad. The only reason, because it's not going anywhere up here, boys. It's not going here either. I want to kind of put it in here, but I can't because of just how much I love Flim and Flam and the song. They keep this in C tier. And even then, I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a D tier episode. I know I just had it in C, but I'm like, man, I can't put it in F because I like Flim and Flam too much. It's still a D tier episode. It makes me mad. I wish I was doing a bit. I'm not. I just fucking hate it. Let me move on to an S tier episode real quick. I love this episode so fucking much. Read 'em and Weep. Or as I like to call it, Reading Rainbow, which apparently is what they were gonna title the episode. This didn't get past our legal team. It's that's totally fair. But oh gosh. What is the plot of this episode? Rainbow Dash gets injured doing a trick. She goes to the hospital, is bored out of her mind, and Twilight's like, look, I brought you a book about Daring Do, who's this Indiana Jones-ass character who kind of reminds me of you. She's a badass Pegasus, fearless as fuck, goes on adventures. I think you'd like the book. And then Rainbow Dash going, I don't like reading. Reading's gay. That's basically what her stance is the entire episode. Or not the entire episode, a decent chunk of it. And then she's like, fine, let me read the fucking book. K. Oh, fuck, this is cool. Fuck, I want to keep reading. Oh no, I'm an egghead. Then she gets discharged from the hospital and she's like, oh fuck, I didn't get to finish the book, but I gotta know how the book ends. So she sneaks back into the hospital so she can finish the book, and then she gets caught and has to escape the hospital. And all the doctors are so confused, what the fuck? Why were you back in? Because, there's this fucking cancer patient who, and I don't even say that as a joke, it's, they're completely bald, and it looks like they went through chemo. I'm like, oh, that's okay. Who thinks Rainbow Dash is there to steal his slippers? So they're like, Rainbow Dash, why are you stealing slippers? I'm not stealing slippers. I'm trying to read a fucking book. Which Twilight was like, wow, I knew the book was good. I didn't think it was good enough to make someone commit petty theft. which is fucking funny. Oh gosh, I love it. It's so dumb, but it's dumb in the best possible way. Oh, I love it. There is, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I am going to try my best. There is a moment during the ending of the episode when Rainbow Dash is, she's caught being an egghead and has to explain why she broke into the hospital. Because she's wearing, like, a spy suit. And with the angle, you just see, like, her and the hood she's wearing. And I'm like, oh, man, maybe it's because I've just been playing. I played a bunch of Kingdom Hearts a few weeks ago, and my friend is playing a bunch of Kingdom Hearts. I'm just seeing Rainbow Dash in this black hood, and now I'm just thinking of her as, like, a member of Organization 13. So, I went into the Organization 13 generator and typed in Rainbow Dash. I'm going to spell it, and then I'm going to try to pronounce it. The name I got is it's all one word, too. AWBDNHXSRIAO. That's Abdin Rochelle. I don't fucking know. But it's really funny to me. Then Rainbow Dash finishes the book, and Twilight's like, dude, I have the entire series. I can lend it to you, and that makes me hyped, because now I have someone to talk about the books with. And it just ends with her finishing, Dash finishes the first book, immediately picks up the second one, and starts reading. I'm like, I know that, I've been there. I put it in S tier for a reason. I fucking love this episode. I have a very, very specific memory of this episode. It was not the first time I watched it. But it was, 2011? Maybe it was 2012. No, it couldn't have been 2011. It had to be like 2012 or 2013. After the NBA Finals that year, between LeBron James and the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder, when LeBron won his first ring, he beat the Thunder, which is my team, because I live in Oklahoma. And I live in Oklahoma, and I was like, cool, we have a team. Guess I have an NBA team now. Let's go. They're a good team? Hell yeah. And made it to the finals that year. Lost in 5 games. And the way I coped and seethed, it was like, I need something to make me happy because now I'm mad. I threw on an episode of Friendship is Magic, and it was this episode specifically. And it deadass made me feel better. So for a few years after, I just had this tradition where after the NBA Finals, or regardless if I had skin in the game or not, I would just watch this episode. And it's just like a nice little memory I have with it. It's like, this episode, like, it's kind of important to me for that. It's just neat. I will also say, that's why I'm a LeBron hater. It is like, hey, he beat my team in the finals. Like, I want to say it's like, it's nothing personal. Like, I'd hate anyone who did that, but I mean, it is personal. That's why. Like, he can't be the GOAT. Ask me, Michael Jordan. Why? Michael Jordan never beat the Thunder in the playoffs. I mean, technically he did because he beat the Sonics, and the Sonics moved from Seattle to Oklahoma City, and the Sonics became the Thunder. But that's Seattle's team, not Oklahoma City's team, so that's okay. But LeBron beat my team. You know, and baby, hey, I'm going to wear that on my sleeve. I'm going to be upfront about it. Also, there's a whole, like, really dedicated list of TV tropes pages about the Daring Do series. And 95% of it is completely made up. And I love it. Like, I have done deep dives just reading through that shit. I'm like, fuck, I would read these books. Like, deadass. It's an S tier episode. I love it. I adore it. Sorry, that was not I have to talk about Hearts and Hooves Day. Let me sigh. It's like I talked a lot. I laughed a lot. I need some water. Anyways, Hearts and Hooves Day. Another Crusader episode, which I feel like we've had quite a few of these this season. this is less Crusadery and is more Sweetie Belle Crusadery, but definitely more of an Apple Bloom lean. Apple Bloom, a full episode, Crusader episode, and then another Crusader episode. This is, of course, the Valentine's Day episode, where the Crusaders, Sweetie Belle in particular, is like, okay, girls, our teacher is awesome, but our teacher is single. We need to hook her up. Fuck. Sorry, my brain just, like, thought of Pimp My Ride. But it's not really Pimp My Teacher, but... Dude, Pimp My Ride is, like, the fucking wildest shit. Have you guys seen the episode? There's a fucking episode of Pimp My Ride where the car is dead-ass two different cars welded together, and is such a piece of shit. And like, dude, we could not pimp this car. We had to just get you a new car. And then, you know, half of Pimp My Ride is like, yeah, we just put like some stereos and shit in the back. I don't even know if the car works, man. We just gave you a new sound system, and then from what I understand, you don't even get to keep the sound system anyways. And I think one guy got a pimped out car and it got broken into and stolen because of course it did. But oh man. Anyways, the Simsa are playing matchmaker for Cheerilee, and they have this song about finding the perfect stallion, which is where Button Mash comes from, by the way. Like, but this one's too young. And then it's Button Mash. I think that's it might not be the only time he ever appeared in the show, but that's where he comes from. You also get he's strangely obsessed with tubs of jelly, which I think is fucking hilarious. I know I've seen a comic where it's like after work one day, Cheerilee's like, I'm home. Now I can go back to my primordial soup. And she just like goes into a tub of jelly. Oh, that's wonderful. Anyways, they're trying to find a good boyfriend for their teacher, but all the good ones are taken. And then they find Big Macintosh, who's single, and then Apple Bloom's like, wait a second, are we trying to hook up my teacher and my brother? Huh? I mean, don't get me wrong, that's kinda dope, because I like both of them, and they might be kinda cute together, but also, that feels weird. But okay. So, they make a love potion, which is actually a love poison, because you fall so deeply in love with the other person that you can do nothing but stare into their eyes and give them annoyingly saccharine pet names. Like, oh, my little schmoopy doopy doopy cuddle bear. And I think that shit is funny. I can't lie. Like, I don't think it's dumb, but it's so funny to me. And after like 4 seconds of seeing Love Poison Cheerilee and Big Macintosh interact, the Sims are like, oh, we should not have done this. We need to find the cure. We need to make this stop. And the cure is keep them away for an hour. So they try to keep them away from an hour, and then afterwards, Cheerilee and Big Macintosh are like, okay, kids, we appreciate it, but also, I mean, come on. The best moment of the episode to me is when they find out Cheerilee is single, and because they're like, hey, do you have a very special some pony? She's like, oh no, I don't, but it's okay. I have my students. I don't need a love life. I'm a teacher. I have my students. My students are great. And Cheerilee turns her back, and I think it's Sweetie Belle's like, but how do you not have one? You're so great. And then Cheerilee, with her back turned, just has this look on her face, which is, I hear this from my mother every fucking day about how I should be married and how I need to bring her grandchildren. I don't need to hear this from 6-year-olds. And it's so funny to me. Like, it's a scene that lasts like 5 seconds, but I think it's gold. Her interactions with Big Mac, like, the vibe I get between Shirley and Big Macintosh is they feel like they dated once. Like, it is either they are very good friends who kind of thought about it and then said, nah, we're good, or they tried once, realized it didn't work out, decided they'd be better off as friends. It's the vibe I get. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if there's anything that ever confirms or deconfirms that. It's just the vibe I get. I like this episode. I actually really like this. Like, it's not an S-tier episode. I don't even think I would put it in B. Like, it's an A-tier episode. I just think it's really entertaining. I just think it's really funny. Now we get to Friend Indeed. One that I have singled out as one of the problematic episodes of the season. Before I say anything bad about this episode, and I will, that fucking Smile song is so damn just catchy and energetic and infectious. I can't listen to it without giving a smile, okay? Let me give this episode something good. Some of Pinky's cartoon powers in this episode are great. Like when she's chasing Cranky around and it's just appearing everywhere. Like she does the Rainbow Dash and Griffin the Brush Off. Also in Party of One. I think it's fun. Her, there's a scene where she, like, welcomes him to Ponyville, like, a tiny little song, and my brain, I don't even think it's, like, anywhere close to the same beat, but my brain just goes, welcome to Duloc, such a perfect town, yeah, we have some rules, let us lay them down. Please stay off of the grass, tie your shoes, wipe your face. It's just what I think of, and that's amazing. And it ends with them being covered in cake batter, and Pinky just moves out of the cake batter, leaving behind a battery after image, which she then devours. Which I just think is neat. I think it's kind of fun. There's a scene where, like, her, like, felt checklist, and then she starts holding a felt check in her hand, therefore breaking the fourth wall in the physics of her world, and it's great. There's this one where she's like, well, I thought about this, and this, and she's, like, counting on her hooves, and she has, like, 8 hooves. It's great. I feel like I said this sometime during Season 1. I know I've said it during other videos. There's no way I haven't. Cartoon physics is the strongest superpower of all time because you have every power. As long as it's funny, and depending on your sense of humor, a lot of shit can be funny. I love it. Let me talk about why I don't like this episode. I don't like this episode because, say it with me, protagonist-centered morality. Pinky is harassing a dude for damn near 20 minutes who does not want her to be there. He's like, I've had a long life. I just want to come and settle down. And, like, if I'm going to be lonely, I'm going to be lonely. And Pinky's like, cool, a new friend. And he's like, no offense, kid. I kind of don't want to do that. Pinky annoys the hell out of him. She messes with his shit. She actively destroys his stuff. She tramples all over his toupee. Okay. One of my favorite jokes in Animaniacs is during the drive-in episode where Dr. Scratch and Sniff is going with his date and the Warners interrupt his date. And Scratch and Sniff is wearing a toupee. And when the Warners arrive and start ruining shit, Yakko just tells him, by the way, something died on your head. And I love it. Pinky tramples all over it, starts touching his shit, covers him in cake batter, sets his diary on fire, just makes this already miserable ass even worse. Now, at the end of the episode, does she make things better because the person he'd been searching his entire life for is someone in Ponyville who Pinky is friends with because she's friends with him? Sure. Yeah, she does. I watched her harass a dude the entire damn episode. That's not fun. Anytime he's trying to brush her off and get rid of her, I'm like, no, he's 100% in the right. There's this one interaction I think is really funny, though. When he, because he's like, there was something I was looking for, like an extra special friend. And she's like, oh, you mean like, or it's like my special friend. Oh, kind of like me? No, you're extra special, kid. It's like, oh, I gotta laugh out of that one. That one got me. That one was fucking funny. There's an episode of The Weekenders, which is not a show I reference very often or think about very often, but I remember watching it a lot when I was a kid. It's a show about 4 friends in middle school, maybe going into high school. I don't remember. It's like the shit they would do on weekends. And I remember one episode in particular where the main character, I'm 90% sure his name was Tino, is, he essentially, like, gives out, like, a survey just, like, asking people if they like him or not, and there's a handful of people that don't. So he goes up to a lot of the people that don't like him to kind of, like, figure out, like, why don't you like me? How can I make this better? And then going, okay, we're cool. I like you. But there's this one dude, there's this one stickler who's just like, I don't like you. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't. I mean, it's hard to say, it feels weird to say it's nothing personal because, I mean, it's pretty personal to say you don't like somebody, but I just don't like you very much. It is what it is. And the end of the episode is Tino realizing, like, you know what? Not everyone's gonna like you. You don't have to be friends with everybody. And that's okay. It does not affect my other relationships. Does not make me any less of a person. And it maybe doesn't even make this guy just an asshole. It just means he just doesn't like me. We don't vibe. That's fine. Man, that's a lesson that I feel like could have been useful here. I know the show is called Friendship is Magic, but it's important to not force yourself onto other people in any capacity, even if it is just trying to be friends. Sometimes it just doesn't work. It just doesn't click, and that's fine. No, Pinky, you don't have to be friends with everybody. It doesn't make you less of a person. It just means that some people want to be left alone. I like that Cranky gets a happy ending. Like, I'd feel really bad for him if he was harassed for 20 minutes and then got nothing out of it. But I'm like, I don't like the moral because it does just kind of feel, or I guess just, I don't even remember what the moral, quote unquote, is. I guess it just kind of feels like if you badger someone enough, eventually they will relent and they will like you. And I don't like that. One thing I do like in this episode is there's a point where, Pinky goes to Twilight to just kind of talk about shit, and Rainbow Dash is there in the library just reading the next Daring Do book, so continuity for the win. And I don't remember what Rainbow Dash says. I think she does just kind of say, Pinky, you're the problem in this scenario. Like, if the dude doesn't like you, he doesn't like you. You're just annoying him. And I think Twilight's kind of like, Rainbow, like, don't be an asshole about it. I'm like, I think she kind of has a point, actually. Again, Rainbow Dash is the piece of shit in the group, so she can tell when someone else is being a piece of shit. this episode is basically the Flim and Flam episode. There's a really good song in it. Aside from that, I just don't like the vibes I get from it. And I remember that. I remember being like, I love the song and like, I like things in this episode, but overall, it just doesn't work for me. And I remember also being very conflicted about this one, and let's get the other problematic episode out of the way. Putting your hoof down. This is an episode about Fluttershy not being assertive enough, and it's just like how people keep taking advantage of her throughout her life, and Rarity and Pinky are in there trying to teach her to be more assertive, which for Rarity, being assertive is just like flirting with people to get what you want, and with Pinky, it's doing Bugs Bunny bits, where like a whole rabbit season, duck season thing, and I don't know, that makes sense. It's like, yeah, that is how of course Pinky's way of problem solving is by just doing Bugs Bunny shenanigans. It's like, no, I buy that. Fluttershy ends up going to a seminar hosted by a Minotaur named Iron Will, who is this parody of Mr. T, and he's fantastic. I love Iron Will. And essentially his whole thing is making up catchphrases. Like, for example, if someone is blocking your way, it's just, if someone tries to block, show them that you rock. Or someone cuts you, you cut in line, I take what's mine, etc., etc. Like, I fucking love all of this shit. And he does this demonstration with Fluttershy. Oh, also, he has, this is important, this is very important. He has a money-back guarantee if you are not satisfied with his workshop. So, Fluttershy goes to the workshop, she gets put on stage, and Iron Will's assistants, which are all goats, are basically, like, falling over her, being like, oh no, you did it perfectly, oh no, you did it perfectly, to make it seem like, see, even this little piece of shit can be assertive, so can you, buy now, Iron Will, yeah, and then Fluttershy makes this face, and it is, like, so adorable. I kind of love it, where she's just like, oh, I can do it, yay, oh, like, this is cute as fuck, I love it. So then, Fluttershy starts using her assertiveness to not let people take advantage of her. And in some instances, it is genuinely people trying to take advantage of her, and other times it's people being innocent and Fluttershy taking it too far. Eventually, Rarity and Pinky are like, okay, Fluttershy, darling, bucko, you're our homie. You're part of the gaggle of gals. I didn't forget that stupid phrase I kept saying while talking about Sweet and Elite for... God, how long did I talk about that episode? I realized when I was done recording, I was like, how long did I spend? 2 hours? What the fuck? I feel like half of it was Sweet and Elite somehow. Maybe the episode is too low. I don't know. It's not as... I can't put it above Return of Harmony or Lesson Zero, though, but it's so good. Anyways, point. They're like, Fluttershy, love that you're being more assertive. Love that you're not letting people walk all over you. But there is a difference between not letting people walk over you and pushing you around and being a crazy fucking bitch. You are starting to get dangerously close to being a fucking bitch. Boy, I'm referencing a lot of other cartoons in this video. There's an episode of Hey Arnold. I'm not going with the SpongeBob one where he makes the dude cry for his ice cream, because, that was Plankton, although that's fucking great. There's an episode of Hey Arnold where Arnold takes karate, and there's this part where a dude he's, beating the shit out of people and defending himself, and this, bigger dude walks up to him and goes, kid, let me ask you something. And he goes, and like Arnold beats the crap out of him, and then the dude's like pants fall down, and he just starts crying. He goes, I just wanted to ask where the bus stop is. I just wanted to know where the bus stop is. And they're like, hey man, he just wanted to know where the bus stop is. Why are you doing this? And Arnold going, oh, I'm a problem. I gotta do something about this. So they're trying to give her that lesson, like, Fluttershy, you're going a little too Arnold right now. You're at an 11. Tone it down to like an 8. Before, darling, you were like a 2. You can take it to, you can keep it at an 8. 8's a good number for you. And then she's like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. Go fuck yourselves. I don't even remember what she says. I think she's like, talks to Rarity about like how petty fashion is, and I almost think she called Pinkie Pie retarded. She said something. It was like, she said something about, like, I feel like she insulted her intelligence heavily, and I don't remember that, but it makes both of her friends, like, run away and cry. And then Fluttershy, they're like, what that monster Iron Will did to you. He's not a monster! He's a Minotaur! Oh, I'm the monster. So then she's in her room, and she's in her house, she's in her cottage, and she's tied herself up because if she goes outside, she won't be able to control herself. She's just such a bad Fluttershy. And then, Pinkie and Rarity go back to her house. They're like, okay. The other day did not go well for anybody, but you know what? Fluttershy is still our friend. She said some shit to us, and we're still mad, but we understand she's new to this. We are gonna talk to her, see if we can keep her being assertive without her being a piece of shit, and hopefully she apologizes, and, you know, we can all just put this behind us. And Fluttershy's like, I can't go outside, like, I'm sorry, I did something awful, I don't know how to control it. Iron Will shows up, and he's like, look, Fluttershy was notorious for how pathetic she was, and now she's not because of my course. I am here to fucking collect. And Rarity tries to flirt with him, and it doesn't work. And then Pinkie Pie rabbit season, duck seasons him, and it fucking works. And then he hears Fluttershy and is like, never mind, I'm gonna collect. I think he has something for pay. I don't remember what his rhyme was. You don't want to pay? Iron Will says no way! Like some shit like that. It's awesome. And Fluttershy goes outside and tells him to go fuck himself. She's like, okay, here's the thing, dude. I am not satisfied with your course. And because I'm not satisfied, I don't have to pay. Because you said, if you're not satisfied, you pay nothing. You're like, what do you mean you're not satisfied? Everyone is satisfied. Everyone talks about how assertive you are now. It's like, yeah, but I'm not satisfied with it. So, no. Which, again, has this great moment of, like, Pinkie and Rarity both just staring at her like, dude, she just stood up for herself to this big-ass fucking Minotaur. That's awesome. I think it's like one of them does like their jaw down and the other just closes it. Like, it's a nice little gag. And then, fuck, I know she says something to, I think it's just like no means no. I don't think it rhymes. And he's like, huh, I'm gonna have to remember that for my next seminar. Alright, see ya, Fluttershy. And then he leaves. And that's how the episode ends. And again, essentially the moral of the episode is you can be assertive without being an asshole, which I think is a good moral. I think it's an important kind of moral. Here's my problem with the episode. Protagonist-centered morality. Because I'll say this, it feels better than here and here. With, you know, the Remain 5 here, not really as much with Rainbow Dash. Because Fluttershy is called out for what she's doing, and Fluttershy calls herself out and takes accountability for it. What bothers me is Iron Will's like, okay, she came to my seminar, and it worked. It has very clearly worked for her. She has become a lot more assertive. If it's working, I want to be paid for the service I provided. Well within his right to do so. And Fluttershy says no, because she's not satisfied. But I look at the episode and go, the reason you're not satisfied is not because the tips he gave you didn't work. It's because you took them too far. Now, I guess you can make the argument, it's like, well, the shit he just wants you to do is too violent, so maybe it just didn't work, and it's just my interpretation of the episode, which is fair. I feel like that's maybe what they're going for. Like, you can be assertive about being an asshole, and with the shit that he's teaching, you be more of an asshole. But the way it comes off to me is like, you know, because people treat her like shit, her being assertive and saying, no, fuck you, feels justified in those instances. It's when she starts to perceive slights that aren't there. And I don't think that's because of Iron Will. I think that's just because of Fluttershy. I talked about this with Class of 09. How, to me, the story of Class of 09 is about... It's about a young woman who has never had control in her life and is trying desperately to have some. So anytime she can exert control over a person or situation, she is going to milk it for everything it's worth because there are years of pent-up frustration. And I kind of see that with Fluttershy. That's what I see from this episode. It's not, wow, that Minotaur made you, like, that monster Minotaur made you an asshole. It's, the asshole has always been there. It's just never really come out. It's kind of like what I hear people say about Breaking Bad is that Walter White has always been, like, Heisenberg has always been there. It just... Walter just never really had a way of expressing it, and now that he has, he's like, this is the person I am and kind of always have been. But, I mean, Walter White doesn't have, like, a fucking Minotaur to blame, I guess. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I really like Iron Will. I think this episode can be quite funny. But it's down here too. And I think it is because, like, the first chunk of the episode of Fluttershy being treated like shit, it's mean, but it's not funny. Rainbow Dash and Rarity, or not Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie and Rarity being left behind at the end of the last roundup after this whole thing about how we're friends and we love each other, and Pinkie unintentionally annoying the hell out of Rarity and Rarity vowing revenge on Rainbow Dash, that's hilarious. Angel kicking Fluttershy in the face is not funny to me. This random, like, cherry salesman trying to rip her off of all of her money just to sell the same thing to someone else at, I don't know, numbers, like 10% of the price is not funny to me. Iron Will is funny. Someone tries to block, show them that you rock. That's funny to me, but it's not a funny episode. And I feel like, yeah, Iron Will is being punished for what Fluttershy is doing with it. And I know he shows up again later and they're like, you're a villain, you're a piece of shit, Iron Will. No, Fluttershy was the villain in this episode. And that's kind of interesting. They just... Again, it's like, I don't feel like she quite gets away with it. With the way, like... Let me put it like this. She is called out for her actions and is able to self-evaluate, which is the thing I want to see. It's what bugs me about this episode and bugs me about this one. Yes, Pinkie is called out and she's like, I'm gonna apologize and try to set things straight. but it still feels like she gets rewarded for her harassment, and she gets what she wanted in the end, and here's like, I didn't learn shit. Yeah, you know what? It bugs me that much. The more I talk about it and think about it, it really bugs me. I love Flim and Flam. I love their song, but fuck, I hate Applejack in this episode, which is not something I say very often. You know, I talked about how this season is way better, and I don't know, there's a much more even distribution of episodes than there is in season 1. We'll see how that changes. But the fact that Fluttershy is still able to get away with not paying Iron Will anything, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. The way that this one used to, but I feel like Rarity's character in this episode, I don't know, it just feels way more interesting and way more nuanced than here or this shit. So let's get to It's About Time. Twilight, Metal Gear Solid time travels, because he's even got the lightning and everything, into the past to talk to Twilight about a calamity that is going to happen next Tuesday morning. And Twilight spending the next week freaking out about it and doing everything she can to figure out what it is, slowly but surely turning into future Twilight, and then realizing there was no calamity, and then going back in time to warn herself about it, and not being able to finish because of how the conversation went, and then going, oh, that's what, oh, this is so stupid. This episode is so fucking funny. I can't lie. Actually, I don't think I can really put it in S. But, like, it's an A-tier episode for sure. The best way I can describe It's About Time is it's Lesson Zero light. It is neurotic as hell Twilight. I don't think it's quite as funny as Lesson Zero. I don't think it's as important of an episode as Lesson Zero. It made me laugh hard. First off, Metal Gear Solid ass looking Twilight. Snake Plissken ass Escape from New York looking Twilight. This is gold. Like, this alone is just beautiful to me. And on top of the Metal Gear Solid design, there's a whole ass sneaking section. Yes, this is great. I love this. Also, just looking forward, there's this whole thing where just fucking Cerberus shows up, like, he's supposed to be guarding the gates of Tartarus, which I think they specifically pronounce as, like, Tartarus, and that kind of bugs me a bit, but it is what it is. And I'm like, is that when Tyrek escaped? I'm like, wait a second, what the fuck? Maybe this episode is as important as Lesson Zero. Holy shit, let's get it up to S real quick. I'm like, that's wild to think about, because I think that's exactly when Tyrek escaped. Holy crap. There was a great calamity. There's this one bit with Twilight and Pinky, and she's like, sorry, this part's really funny to me, where Pinky's like, yo, Twilight, what's good? Oh, well, I was trying to do everything I could to make it, like, I was trying to, like, be really proactive, and it didn't do anything. Then I tried to do nothing, and that didn't work. So now my plan is to monitor everything. And she's like, yeah, like, I was staring at this one, like, constellation or nebula or some shit, and, I thought I saw something weird, so I stared at it for 17 hours straight, and then I just realized it was a smudge on the telescope. Oh, okay, when did you sleep? Oh, I didn't. I've been awake for several days. I could sleep after the calamity. By the way, Pinky, can you do me a favor? Can you recalibrate this telescope to blah, 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 blah? Sure. And then doesn't do it because she doesn't know what the fuck Twilight was talking about. It's funny! I love it! This episode has probably one of the best morals, aside from maybe this one, which is I don't even think I really talked about the moral of this episode. 1, reading is badass. Books are fucking dope. Do it more. But also, this has a moral that is very applicable to Friendship is Magic, which is, don't let people stop you from liking what you like. Don't be like, man, if people find out that I like reading, or that, I don't know, I watch My Little Pony, that they're gonna make fun of me. Don't fucking care. Read your shit. Watch your show. Don't let that stop you. This episode, what is the moral of this episode? Like, don't play Matchmaker? But playing Matchmaker is fun. I don't know. This one's moral is kind of a two-parter. Moral number 1, don't worry about the future to an obsessive degree. It is important to think about your future. It's important to, try to be proactive. But there's a line from Fate Stay Night. It's something Rin says, where she says to Shiro, I don't even remember if this was in the VM, but I remember it's in the Dean anime, where she says to him, if you have time to worry, you have time to do something about it. Don't just worry about things. Be proactive, take steps, but also just kind of understand sometimes there's just shit outside of your control. You don't have to freak out about everything. The other moral of this episode is you are your future self. Because there's this gag with Spike who's like, Twilight is so busy doing her bullshit. She's not stopping me from doing whatever dumb shit I want to do, and I just want to eat ice cream all day. So he just blah, 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 tubs of ice cream, and they're like, Spike, isn't that going to make you sick? Yeah, but that's future Spike's problem. And then at the end of the episode, he starts getting sick. He's like, oh, I said it was future Spike's problem, but now I'm future Spike. With, the moral, it's, I don't want to say it like a karma kind of way, where it's like, you're gonna get yours, but you are going to become your future self. If you do things without thinking of the consequences, you're like, I'll worry about it later, later's gonna fucking happen. So there's a fine line between worrying too much about the future and not worrying enough about the future. And honestly, I just think that's really interesting and really applicable. This is a fucking S-tier episode. I think it has a great pair of morals that go really well together. Really interesting lore implications when you think about Tyrek in a couple seasons. And it's fucking funny! Let's go! Dragon Quest. In this episode, it's the Great Dragon Migration and the Remain 5, because Fluttershy's like, I'm not doing this shit. I'm still scared of dragons. I don't want to watch it, to the point where she assaults Rainbow Dash. And as much as I don't really care for this episode, at least she's able to be more assertive. And 2, the way that she just shoves Dash down, jumps over her like it's a fucking Goomba, runs over to her door, to her windows, slowly pushes the windows open, and then jumps out is a really funny gag. The Remain 5 plus Spike are watching the Dragon Migration while literally in a fucking trench wearing World War I outfits, and that's gold. They make a joke at Spike's expense about how he's not really a dragon. And Spike takes that very personally. He's like, you know what? You're not wrong. I'm gonna go on this migration. I want to learn more about my people and where I personally come from and all this shit. So he goes, and Sparks, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash all decide to follow him while dressed up in a really goofy dragon outfit that I love. And of course, there ends up being a character, another dragon, that looks exactly like it, named Crackle, and Crackle is best dragon. So Spike ends up going to, where the dragons migrate to, and he meets a bunch of teenagers slash frat boys slash jock dragons who treat him like shit, but then he kind of earns their respect. They're like, hey, you know, you're pretty cool for a little shithead. All right, you're with us now. Hell yeah, buddy. And then take him to go smash some phoenix eggs. And he's like, wait, that's really fucked up. And they're like, yeah, but okay, fuck you too. And then our trio of ponies in the episode go to back up Spike and save him, and Spike ends up taking one of the phoenix eggs and has a little pet named Pee-wee, and that's the episode. So first thing, this asshole, who is unnamed in the episode, but his name is Garble, says the word namby-pamby quite a few times. I'm like, namby-pamby pony princess. And I bring it up because it's a phrase that Diamond Tiara uses a lot in this episode too. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like, they must have really liked that phrase when writing these two episodes, and I don't know why. It's not like it's bad or anything. This at least makes it kind of a funny joke with it, where it's like, I don't want any of these namby-pamby stories, but namby-pamby was a great editor. I'm like, I actually kind of like that. This one just, I don't know, keeps using the phrase. Okay. I was talking to Clay when he was watching this episode, and I'm like, this feels like the plot of a 90s movie, maybe an 80s movie, of, you know, a kid, like, trying to get the respect of, like, the older teenagers, and, you know, he has to do, like, a bunch of dumb shit, but he does it, and he gets accepted into the group, and yeah, like, I don't know, kind of gives me that feel, so I don't hate this episode, and I'm sorry, just the fucking dragon disguise that Twilight, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity are wearing is really funny. And hey, Twilight doing this deep voice when talking to the dragons. I love it. It's dumb, but it's great. Unfortunately, despite it being an episode with Spike saying, I want to learn more about, like, dragons, and I mean, I guess he learns a little bit about dragon culture, that, like, teenage dragons are asshole jock frat boys. He doesn't really learn about his own past or, dragon lore or anything like that. So it feels like kind of a missed opportunity. I think we do get more later. I know we get some dragon lore when we meet Ember. I remember that being a really good episode too. I think there's an episode where you meet Spike's dad? That sounds right, but I'm not a hundo on that. Oh, I just had a Project Horizons flashback, and boy, was it bad. Oh fuck, there's this one scene where Spike is talking about Golden Blood and how he saw Golden Blood as a father figure, and oh, I fucking hated it. Because it's not like the two have, like, actual interactions with each other to make you think that, or it's like, yeah, this is some of the shit that Spike did for Golden Blood because they were close, or it's just like a throwaway line to make Golden Blood have, quote unquote, I don't know, stronger relationships with character. I fucking hate Golden Blood so much. I need to stop. Let me take a deep breath, drink water. I need to not talk about Horizons right now. Oh boy. I could feel myself going down the rabbit hole. My point is, we don't get a lot about Spike's personal origins or a whole lot of interesting shit about dragons, but I feel like I got a heavily abridged version of kind of a fun 80s or 90s coming-of-age film with Twilight, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity pretending to be a dragon. I'd kind of put it up here. I remember not liking this episode. It's like a here-ish. I'm like, no, actually, I kind of dig it. I think what I really, really like about it is it's a Spike episode where Spike isn't written like a piece of shit. He's just written like he's just a good little boy. And I kind of like that. Now we get to Hurricane Fluttershy. I love this episode. I really, really like this episode so fucking much. basic plot. The Pegasi in Ponyville have to do this thing where they make a giant tornado above a water source. So the water from their town goes into Cloudsdale, so Cloudsdale has a lot of water to, like, make rain and all that shit. And it is something that the, like, Pegasi in every town have to do, and you have to hit a certain threshold of wing power to get the tornado to be strong enough. I think it's 800, it might have been 900, or which. Rainbow Dash wants to break the record set by Philadelphia. And so she's like, alright, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna train, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, let's go, 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 go. And the Pegasi in town, including one Bulk Biceps, in his first episode, he just goes, yeah! I fucking love him. He is wonderful. Roid Rage. I was like, what's his other name? Because Bulk Biceps is his actual name. I was like, he had a fan name, and it's Roid Rage, and I love it. He's such a guy. And his tiny ass fucking wings. Dude, he's so good. I know he comes back, too, in later seasons, where he's part of the fucking Ponyville team for the Equestria Games. That might be the worst episode of the show, too, is Equestria Games. Fuck, I remember hating it. We'll see. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. Despite this being a bottom of the fucking barrel tier episode, it's not as bad as I think it is. Or it's not as bad as I thought it was. Which is, it's kind of an interesting dichotomy there. Anyways, to my point, though. Rainbow Dash is like, she is being the coach to all the other Pegasi, but there's this one dude named Thunderlane who is getting sick, and he's coughing, and some of the other Pegasi are starting to cough as well. Fluttershy, bless her heart, does not want to do this, because she's not a flyer. She's really bad at that. She's always been bad at that. And she's having these flashbacks of when she was at camp. And the other kids would make fun of it. Fluttershy, Fluttershy, Fluttershy can hardly fly. And it's like, it's just fucking with her. And so Rainbow Dash is like trying to get her to join and like hype her up. And she's like, I can't do it, Dash. Like, I just fucking can't. And Rainbow Dash is really disappointed. She's like, without you, I don't know if I can break the record. But you know what? Fine. And I mean that sincerely. Like, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. It's okay. And Fluttershy's like, I don't want to disappoint my friend. Okay. Which leads to her saying, like, I'm game. Like, you're game? I'm game. And I know I've heard some people say, it's like, I did not hear them say game. I heard them say gay. It's like, you're gay? I'm gay. And it's kind of, especially when you get here and you get the smooch. I gotta bring up the smooch. The smooch is wonderful. Anyways. Fluttershy has this 80s montage. Like, this was like a condensed 80s, 90s movie. There's a fucking 80s montage in this movie of Fluttershy training. And it's great. I love it. And at the end of the training, she and all her animal friends fucking show up at the track where all the other Pegasi are performing, and they test Fluttershy's wing power. And it is a phenomenal improvement at where she was before, but is significantly lower than everyone else. Twilight and Rainbow Dash are like, dude, what a marked improvement. Like, you applied yourself, you're doing so much better, we love to see it. And Fluttershy seeing it as, I'm still not good enough. I put in all of this effort, and I am far below everyone else. I'm like, Dash, how would you feel if everyone else was performing up to or exceeding standards and you were the only person that was below? You would feel terrible. I'm sorry, I can't do this. And Rainbow Dash, the part I really remember is Rainbow Dash being like, Fluttershy, come on, like, are you really gonna let something like that bother you? And then Fluttershy just turns around tears streaming down her face going, yes! And then her going to cry. And then, like, when she lifts her head to cry, actually, this might have been, like, right before I think this was actually right before the training montage, so I might be getting my events flipped up. Because I remember her lifting her face, and there's, like, fucking dirt and flowers on her face. It looks like she has a beard. It's kind of funny. But one thing about Friendship is Magic is there's a lot of times where characters cry, and it's so over the top, it's kind of funny. Like, in this one, like, when Pinky, like, there's a part at the end of the episode in Baby Cakes where Pinky is so frustrated that she just starts crying. But it is very, you know, the water's, like, gushing out of her eyes. It's, like, it's maybe a little too much if they were trying to play it serious. I know there's a Crusader episode, I don't remember which one, I haven't gotten to it yet, where it might be the Babs episode, where Speedy is crying, and again, it's the ocular gushes, and I think Scootaloo and Apple Bloom just, like, pull out an umbrella. I'm like, that's actually kind of fun. But I bring that up because that moment when Fluttershy turns back around and is just crying, I'm like, no, I actually feel that. Fuck, I really do feel that. And it's an episode about someone who's being... And it's not even someone who is being bullied, but it's someone who has been bullied. And how it has affected her and the performance anxiety. I'm like, oh boy, I feel that too. Specifically, I haven't finished the plot of the episode yet. I'll get to it in a second. I was, the day this episode aired, I had missed the initial airing, and I was just, like, trying to find it on Google. I was like, alright, how do I watch this? And it took me to the TV Tropes link for this episode, which is my first time being on that website. So this is the episode that led me to TV Tropes, which of course ruined my life, so I have to give that a shout out. But at the end of the episode, the Pegasi are ready to do the tornado, but a lot of the other Pegasi are sick, so they don't show up, and they're like, we don't have enough wing power to even get the tornado. They're like, we're not breaking the record. We might not even do the thing. And Rainbow Dash is like, fuck. We gotta do the best we can anyways. Like, the odds are against us, but we have a job to do. Let's go. And they're trying to motivate everyone, and then Fluttershy shows up for moral support. But the tornado fails and breaks, and Dash is like, I don't fucking care. We gotta try this again, boys. So they go again, and Fluttershy, like, Twilight convinces Fluttershy to go in, and it's like, I know you don't have a lot of wing power, you can still move the needle. Like, you know, even if someone's contribution, they don't think it's a lot, it can still be enough. You are Knuff. You know, it's that scene from Ruby Volume 9. What happens if I choose me? Then maybe that girl is enough. And Fluttershy goes into the tornado, and she is enough. She is Knuff. And they succeed. It's great. I really love this episode. Hey, what was that I was saying about there not being a lot of S-tier episodes? I might end up cutting some of these down at the end. We'll see. But, this one's up there for sure. I love Hurricane Fluttershy. It is easily one of my favorite episodes of the season. Ponyville Confidential. I'm just going to put it here. It's so close. So close to being up here. Something I said several times on the cruise to my friends is, I am a bitch who loves gossip. I do. I will wear that shit on my sleeves, man. I love it. I don't even know what. I think it's just because of how much I love stories. I love listening to people's stories. I adore that kind of shit. This is an episode where the Simsa are working at the school newspaper, and okay, I'm sorry, there's this really funny joke to me in the episode where Cheerily is like, hey everybody, we're gonna have a new editor for the school paper, the Full Free Press. So if you're interested in the paper, stay behind after class. And students are leaving the class, and Diamond Tiara is very clearly shown leaving the classroom. And then Cheerily's like, okay, welcome our new editor. And then Diamond Tiara comes back in, and there's just something in my brain that's like, she wanted to have her entrance so bad. She specifically made sure to leave the class so she could come back and have her entrance. Wait a second, Diamond Tiara's fucking funny. Like, wait, this character might be great. Hold on a moment. So Diamond Tiara's like, okay, Cheerly is giving me a lot of leeway on this paper. The paper sucks. It is just a bunch, the Nampy-Pampy stories. The Nampy-Pampy was a great editor. It's like, I don't want some boring-ass stories. I want gossip. I want juicy news. I want shit that makes people read our fucking paper. So the Crusaders start writing a gossip column under the pen name of Gabby Gums, which I fucking love, by the way. And it is them getting information from people and using it to write these stories, and Diamond Tiara just telling them, y'all are doing a bang-up job. Like, for most of the episode, she is not calling them blank. She is not bullying them. She's like, you are giving me exactly what I am asking. I just ask that you give me more. Bring me pictures of Spider-Man. Like, that is the episode. It's awesome. As the episode goes on, people are getting offended at these gossip columns being written about them of varying degrees of veracity, which is completely fair. And the Crusaders going, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Like, do you two feel like assholes? Yeah, I thought maybe it was just me. Like, are we the bad guys here? Yeah, we kind of are. We should stop. So they go to Diamond Tiara, like, we don't want to do this shit no more. We want to stop. And she's like, oh, really? Well, the school photographer, Featherweight over here, I told him to document everything. And I got a picture of you, and you, and you, all in embarrassing situations. If you stop writing my gossip column, I'm posting these. I am blackmailing you three. So, get to writing, girls. So, the collective of Gabby Gums, who has now been outed, and the entire town fucking hates them, write their final column, which is an apology for what they did, and it's about how the fame got to our heads, and the excitement got to our heads, and everyone loved what we were doing. So even though we thought it was kind of shitty, because it made people happy, we thought it was cool. And very clearly it wasn't. And we are genuinely sorry for that. Then Cheerly's like, okay, probably gave Diamond Tiara too much leeway. She's fired. Featherweight is now in charge of the paper. And Diamond Tiara gets some, like, ink on her, and the episode ends. Oh, there's also this great gag of a bunch of stories coming out about other people, and Rarity going, oh, it's just harmless fun. And then her diary is posted. I'll destroy her! And, which is, I mean, it's funny, but there's also a really important kind of message in there, too. It's like, it's always funny when it happens to somebody else. It is like, doing to others as you would have them doing to you. If something shitty is happening, you're like, it doesn't affect me personally, but if it happened to me, it'd be really shitty. That means it's a shitty thing. And be vocal about that. Like, hey, so if you let people do terrible things to other people, why wouldn't they do it to you? I like that. I do like that. What stops this episode from being up here, because for like 95% of it, it's an S-tier episode. I think it's gold. I think it's really funny and really entertaining. It's the ending. If instead of them saying, we're sorry in our final column, what if they wrote a piece on themselves? Like, instead of Diamond Tiara going, I'm gonna blackmail you if you don't write a final column. And they said, you know what? We have been embarrassing everyone in town. It's our turn to be embarrassed. We are going to publish this article on ourselves. We are going to publish the photos of ourselves. And now you have nothing on us anymore. This is how we apologize. Not only do we say sorry, we do to ourselves what we did to everyone else, and showing with our genuine actions that we mean it. That, to me, is a perfect ending for this episode. And, like, it wouldn't quite put it up here, but I feel like it would be in the upper echelon of Season 2 S-tier episodes, you know? Like, that's... And again, it's like I keep saying, it's accountability. It's not just... Like, this does not have protagonist-centered morality, because everyone calls them out for what they're doing, and they call themselves out for what they're doing. And it's not, like, down here-ish, because I like the apology, and I feel like it's very genuine. But it could have gone further, and I think if it did, it would have been excellent. Like, it would have been, like, it goes from being a really good episode with a good ending that could have been better, to a damn near perfect episode of the show. And the fact that it was that close and just stumbles, like, it's not like, man, it leaves this bitter taste in my mouth that makes me hate the episode. It's like, you go from such an easy S-tier placement to, I can't justify putting you in S-tier now. Like, that's how I feel about it. I still think it's a great episode. I still think it's a really good Crusader episode. It's definitely not the best Crusader episode of the season. With that ending in place, it just might have been, though. And that's why I have to put it down. Mystery on the... I almost said Orient Express. On the Friendship Express. Fuck, what is it called? The mascarpone... Is it the meringue mascarpone? It's the something madness. One of the other M's is meringue. One of them is... I'm looking it up. Like, this is bothering me. Friendship. Fuck damn it. Where's the name of this ding ding? Like, I'm on the show, the episode's wiki page. Why is this so hard? Come on. How do you spell mascarpone? I don't know. Maybe... Oh, marzipan. Oh, that's it. It is the marzipan, mascarpone, meringue madness. Thank you. Okay, now I can actually fucking talk about the episode. The cakes make a big-ass fucking cake to enter in a baking competition along with 3 other bakers. Pony Joe from the donut stand in Canterlot, who made Donutopia. He made a donut city. His name was Gustav, like a griffin who makes these eclairs, and he has a fucking Dick Dastardly mustache that he twirls, and it's awesome. And then William Mild, who's a Julia Child parody, who made a chocolate mousse in the shape of a moose. During the night, the marzipan, mascarpone, meringue madness, someone takes a bite out of it. And Pinky was certain that someone would because of how good it is. And she keeps talking about how good it is, which makes people really want to try it. So she stayed up all night to watch it, fell asleep at one point, and someone took a bite. So the next day, she's like, I need to investigate who did it. And Twilight helps her with it. And they do a whole Holmes and Watson thing with Twilight being Pinky is Holmes and Twilight is Watson. And she keeps calling Twilight stupid because, like, you're my lowly, dim-witted assistant while being the very dumb one in the group. And it's great. And she, like, is like, I know who did it. How? You didn't do any investigating. Well, clearly it was this baker. And then, oh god, for, like, every baker, it's a different thing. For Gustav, it's like a silent movie where he, like, takes Pinky and ties her to the railroad tracks while twirling his mustache. Like, Pinky, you're still alive. You didn't do that. Oh. Well, obviously, Donut Joe is actually, it's con main, like James Bond. And it's this whole James Bond parody. It's like, no, this was clearly bitten into. He didn't use fucking lasers. And he's, it's like, he's not con main. He's just Donut Joe. And then Mulia Mild is a fucking ninja who used her fucking katanas to cut up the cake. Pinky, that didn't happen either. Give me the hat. So then Pinky and Twilight takes the fucking hat, gives the other one back to Pinky, takes the pipe, and is like, cool, I'm Holmes, you're Watson. Does her investigating. Is like, okay, Rainbow Dash took a bite of the cake. Fluttershy took a bite of the cake. Rarity took a bite of the cake. Here we go. And then they go into another tunnel. The other desserts are fucked up because the other bakers got hungry and ate each other baker's desserts. And Applejack didn't eat anything. Not because she's the element of honesty, but because it was cut for time. And I think that's really funny, so she's just as guilty in my eyes. All the desserts have been fucked with, so they combine them to a super dessert, which wins first prize, and that's the episode. Oh, no, sorry. When the other baker's foods get eaten, Pinky's like, please, Twilight, can I be Holmes again? I'll actually be good this time. So Twilight allows her to be Holmes, and Pinky conducts a proper investigation. Well, of course, the moral of the story being, don't jump to conclusions about things when you haven't had a chance to investigate them. Don't worry about it. This episode is so fucking funny. I really I'm sorry, I just love Pinky's whole, like, being Sherlock, like, the whole Holmes and Watson thing and how they literally keep swapping hats is just great. I love Pinky talking shit to Twilight and Twilight just calling her an absolute buffoon. Her Imagine spots with the other bakers are really funny. It's great. It's really, really great. I don't think it's an S-tier episode, though. So, before we do the wedding, let me go ahead and start cutting some of these. I think I would put this more in A. The more I think, I think it's really, really funny. But, like, I look at Hurricane Fluttershy and how much I love this episode. Do I like It's About Time as much as Hurricane Fluttershy? No, I don't. It's funny as fuck, but it's not, I don't like it as much as this one. Reel and Leap? Yes, actually. Secret of My Excess? Not as much as Hurricane Fluttershy. I'm trying to remember. I remember doing this in one of my end of year tier. I think it was the movies, like when I was talking about Into the Spider-Verse, and I was like, okay. Because I rewatched Into the Spider-Verse also, like, after watching Across the Spider-Verse as well. I was like, okay, this is an S-tier movie. This is the movie that I'm now kind of judging a lot of these other movies to, and this is what's knocking shit down. This looks more right to me. It's like, with how much I talked about this episode, I really love it. I kind of do like this episode a lot. This one for sure, and then these are the kings of the season, no question. This feels right. That's right. Maybe this could go here, but I think I like it there. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I mean, it feels kind of low, but I also kind of fucking hate this episode, aside from Flim and Flam. Flim and Flam, save it from here. This episode's dog shit. So now, oh, fuck. Have I been talking for another 2 hours? I think I have, because I think this started at like 5:50 and now it's 7:46. So it's been about another 2 hours. And I haven't started talking about the wedding. Oh boy. I have a lot to say about a Canterlot wedding. And not all of it is good. This might be a hot take. This might be a scorching take. the wedding's bad. It is a really, really bad, like, two-parter. But I don't hate it. I can't hate it. Because there's so much cool shit and so much fun shit that it is impossible for me to hate this episode. I remember the last time I watched it thinking, I was like, dude, this episode is like fucking dog shit. I can't hate it, but it's pretty dog shit. And when I was going into it, because I was like, I'm watching this season, I'm like, I'm so excited to watch the wedding. There's no way it's that bad. I had to have been overreacting. Like, I know it has its problems. Like, it's not that bad. It is that bad. The basic plot, before I poke holes in all of it, because there's a lot of holes to poke. Oh, you know what? I feel like I'm going to I kind of want to cut the episode here, and then just, like, Season 2 tier list part 3 is just talking about a Canterlot wedding. Because I feel like I have that much to say about it. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right now. We're gonna get back to this in a bit. I'm gonna stop, get a drink of water, and then I'm coming back to talk about the wedding. I will see you in a second.